All right, today we're going to do something pretty cool. We're going to explore the entire story of 19th century America, but we're going to do it through the eyes of just one man. It's this incredible journey of immigration, loss, resilience, and reinvention that really, truly captures the spirit of that whole era.
So you might be asking yourself, how can one person's life tell the story of an entire nation? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into. See, Frederick Schaffner's story, it isn't just about him. It's really a window into the lives of the millions of people who came here and completely shaped the country we know today.
Okay, so take a look at this. This timeline gives us a quick snapshot, a real bird's-eye view of his life. He was born in Germany, made his way to New York, and then all the way over to San Francisco. I mean, think about that journey. He didn't just cross an ocean, he crossed a whole continent. And his life, it lands smack dab in the middle of one of the most wild, transformative periods in American history.
So let's rewind. Our story really kicks off in 1828 in Darmstadt, Germany. Now, you gotta understand, this was a tough time. There was a lot of economic hardship sweeping through the German states, and that was a huge push factor. It basically forced millions of people, including a young Frederick, to start dreaming about a new life, to look across the Atlantic for a fresh start.
And believe me, he was not alone. He was part of this massive wave of German immigrants pouring into America, all chasing that same dream of opportunity. Can you just imagine that? Showing up in a new country, maybe not even speaking the language, ready to build an entire life from the ground up? I mean, for Frederick, that wasn't just a story. That was his reality.
So he gets to America, and he starts to build a life, a family. But, and this is a big but, this new chapter for him was filled with hope, but also just profound, repeated loss. He was forced to find the strength to start all over again, not just once, but twice.
His first stop, like for so many, was New York City. And in this bustling neighborhood they called Klein Deutschland, that's Little Germany, he meets and marries Susanna Hoffmann. She's also a German immigrant, so you can imagine the comfort in that, starting a new life together, but still surrounded by a familiar language, familiar customs, in this brand new world.
And in 1851, they have their first child, a son, Hermann. He becomes the one who's going to carry that Schaffner family name into the future. But their happiness was just so short-lived. Tragically, Susanna dies just a few years later. And you have to remember, this was a harsh, but honestly, a very common reality back then. Mortality rates were high. So suddenly, Frederick is a widower, a single dad with a little boy to raise, all on his own. So what does he do? He remarries, this time to an Irish immigrant named Martha Matilda. Now, she almost certainly came to America fleeing the Great Famine in Ireland. And just like that, his family becomes this blend of two of the biggest immigrant groups in America at the time, German and Irish. It's like the melting pot happening right there in his own household. But they don't stay in New York. Their story was really just getting started. The whole family packs up and makes this absolutely incredible journey west. And where do they land? In the wild, chaotic, booming city of San Francisco during the gold rush. And it's right there, on what was basically the edge of the American frontier, that Frederick takes the oath and becomes a U.S. citizen. What a moment that must have been.
Yeah, and you can really see here just how his family blossomed. You've got Hermann, his son with his first wife, Susanna, from Germany, and then, wow, 5 more kids with his second wife, Martha Matilda, from Ireland. Their house must have been bustling. It was, in a very real sense, a little snapshot of the American melting pot.
And then, tragedy strikes again. It's just unbelievable. Martha Matilda dies. She's only 37. So now Frederick is a widower for the second time. And this time, he's left with 5 young kids from their marriage. I mean, the youngest was only 4. It's just devastating to even think about. And this little snippet from her obituary, it just hits you, doesn't it? A native of Ireland. It's so simple, but so powerful. It's this authentic voice from the past that just reminds you of her journey, of her roots, and how her life ended so far from where it began.
But here's the thing about Frederick. After all this incredible hardship, he doesn't just give up. He doesn't just survive. He actually thrives. He completely reinvents himself and becomes this established, well-respected guy in his new community in San Francisco.
Just a year after Martha's passing, he marries for a third and final time. Her name is Dora Mossman, and she's also a German immigrant. She comes into this family, becomes a stepmother to all those children, and they end up staying together for the rest of his life. 23 years. He finally found some stability.
Now you might hear saloon keeper and think one thing,
But back then, it was so much more than just a job, especially in a place like Victorian San Francisco. A saloon keeper was a respected proprietor. His place would have been the absolute social heart of the neighborhood. It was like a community center, a place to talk politics, a news exchange. It was everything.
And this right here. This is the classic American dream story, isn't it? He starts out as a cook, and he becomes a proprietor, a business owner. He arrives as an immigrant, and he becomes a Freemason, which was a huge deal, a major social and civic institution. We're talking real, tangible, upward mobility.
So, in the end, Frederick Schaffner lived to be 71. He passed away on June 29, 1899. When you think about it, his life literally bridged 2 different centuries and 2 different continents. What a remarkable journey. But you know, a story like this never really ends, does it? It didn't end in 1899. It keeps going, right? Through the 6 children he raised, and then their children and their children's children, creating this direct, unbroken line from his world all the way to ours.
And here it is laid out for you. You can literally trace that connection through time. It starts with Frederick, goes to his first son Herman, and then you follow it all the way down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations to a living descendant today. That's incredible.
And this quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? A tangible link between the old world and the new. That's exactly what Frederick was. He and millions of families just like his were the living, breathing links connecting the history they left behind with the new story they were building here. Which kind of makes you think, right? It leaves you wondering, what kind of incredible stories of survival and love and reinvention are hiding in your own family tree? Whose stories are just sitting there waiting for you to discover them?